How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Got a lot of news to talk about here on the show today, and I am going solo. Mike Sempervive will be back tomorrow. But a lot for me to discuss with you here today. We got all sorts of news. Everything from a location for WrestleMania 36, update, an unfortunate update on Tomasso Ciampa. We got a new WWE US champion. We got thoughts on WrestleMania. Raw ratings from Monday night. Fastlane card. We've got a bunch of matches added to that show. We have got an update on Asuka. We've got an update on WOW, Women of Wrestling. So much stuff to get into today, and we are not going to waste any time. As expected, Tampa Bay, Florida, set to be officially confirmed as the host city for WrestleMania 36. WWE has announced they'll be making, quote, a very important announcement in Tampa Bay at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Tampa Bay Times confirmed the press event is to formally announce Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as the host of WrestleMania 36. It will be taking place April 5, 2020. Second time in 4 years WrestleMania has been held in Florida. Camping World Stadium in Orlando hosted Mania 33 in 2017. The XFL's Tampa Bay team will also play their home games at Raymond James Stadium. Former Chicago Bears head coach Mark Trestman was introduced as the head coach and GM of the Tampa Bay XFL team yesterday. Tomorrow's announcement will be streaming live on WWE's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages. So if you're somebody that normally heads to a WrestleMania from New York to Tampa Bay over the next couple of years, better weather, I'm sure. But we'll find out how things go this year. If you want to give us a call here today on any topic, 844-411-5411 is the phone number that is toll-free, 844-411-5411. Text messages, 425-780-7566. Back in a moment to kick it off, Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. No Mike Sempervive today. He'll be back tomorrow. Want to give us a call today? If you want to co-host, take calls all day here today. 844-411-5411 is the phone number. Text messages, 425-780-7566. Going to go to the phones here in a while. This person texted, I'm absolutely devastated for Ciampa. Him having neck surgery totally ruins the final chapter of his epic feud with Gargano. Guy came back last year to transform himself into one of the greatest heel characters his company's ever seen, only to now have to vacate Goldie. Wish nothing but a speedy recovery to the champ. Yes, it appears NXT champion Tomasso Ciampa out of action for a significant amount of time. This from WrestlingObserver.com. On Wrestling Observer Radio overnight, Dave Meltzer reported WWE has confirmed Ciampa will be undergoing neck surgery. Meltzer said Ciampa will have the surgery in the next couple of days, won't be able to wrestle for a long, long time, but exactly how long is not known. Meltzer said Ciampa was originally going to be out of action after working through WrestleMania, but he speculated the situation must have gotten so bad it was decided they have to do the surgery now. Their final TV tapings for TakeOver New York are taking place next Wednesday. Should provide an update on what WWE will do with the NXT title. He has been pulled from appearances for World League Wrestling on March 9th, Chaotic Wrestling March 15th, Adam Cole replacing him at World League, Hansen replacing him at Chaotic Wrestling. He joined the main roster last month, teamed with Gargano on Raw and on SmackDown, wrestled at NXT's TV tapings the next night, has not had a match since. Sucks. And I'm not blaming Ciampa at all. I'm not kicking the guy when he's down. This has nothing, this has something to do with Ciampa, but this has to do with a lot of guys. This is one of the things that sucks about pro wrestling. And I really thought about it a while ago. I've thought about it for a long time, but I was reminded of it when I watched the Nigel McGuinness documentary. There's a lot of guys that busted their ass and beat the hell out of themselves on the independent scene, making a name for themselves for many, many, many years. And they ravaged their bodies. And the time finally came that they got their big call to go up to the main roster, and they got there, and they were a wreck. And it sucks. And not a lot you can do about it. There was a standard of wrestling and Ring of Honor where guys felt they had to go out there, and it's not just Ring of Honor, obviously. It's all sorts of places. I mean, you could say PWG. I mean, it's not like guys didn't bust their ass in TNA and New Japan, but it's very, very hard on the body, and Tomasso is not the first one. He will not be the last one that went out there and suffered a lot of injuries, and the day finally came for them to get called up and make a lot of money, and their bodies couldn't hold up. And hopefully, if he gets his neck surgery and has more time to rehab his knees, I mean, hopefully he can come back and have a long career and make a lot of money now that he's made it to the big time. That's all we can hope for this, but it's just a tough deal because just a lot of guys out there on the indie scene that don't feel that they can work a style that will, I guess, last them over the long haul till they get to the main roster. But that's the story. Hoping for the best in surgery, hoping he can come back. Absolutely sucks for NXT. It was a great storyline. It was a year-long build, longer than a year, for the Ciampa Gargano story. It was going to pay off at WrestleMania, Gargano winning the title from Ciampa, and now they got to figure something out at that last set of taping. So it sucks. All the best to Tomasso Ciampa, and hopefully he comes back better than ever. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, Brian, it's Anthony from Connecticut. How's it going?
What's up?
I got a question about the NXT title situation now. Unfortunately, with Ciampa getting hurt, he obviously has to vacate the title. By the way the live events are going, I think they're probably going to try to set up Gargano versus Cole at TakeOver. And I'm assuming that Gargano goes up to the main roster. I think Cole's going to probably win the title. Who do you think should feud with Adam Cole if he wins the title? Do you think it should be someone like Matt Riddle, or do you have a better idea? Also, how excited are you for the second season of Women of Wrestling after you saw that first episode?
Hey, we'll get to that here in a while. I want to thank you very much for the call. So, I mean, I guess if Cole wins, I'd do Cole Riddle. Huge fan of Matt Riddle. As far as like the big match for TakeOver, I mean, obviously they're already working on a TakeOver card and they have some matches planned, and they've got to follow through with what they've already built up on television. But when I think back to last year's TakeOver over WrestleMania weekend, I mean, one of the big matches on that show was that multi-person ladder match. And it was a 5-star match, got a lot of guys over, a lot of guys shined, and this would be a great opportunity to do another multi-person ladder match with all of the big stars and put that NXT title on the line. I know a lot of people will say, I'd prefer a singles match, I'd prefer a one-on-one match. That would be best for a championship match. But they got to make a new match for that title with like a few weeks' notice. And you can only do so much to build up one singles match in that short period of time. But to go on television and say, man, everything's in disarray, Ciampa's out, the title's on the line, we got 9 million deserving contenders right here, you're all getting a shot. Ladder match, put it at TakeOver, put the title on the line. I mean, I think that's probably what I would do. And that of course, is right after talking about how, it sucks that guys get hurt and destroy their body. I mean, you can do a ladder match and not kill yourselves. I mean, we've seen it before in WWE. The ladder matches today are much, much safer. But it would be a spectacular match, give a chance for everybody to shine, create a new champion. I think that's the direction I'd go. So, wow. Should mention that here, even though I got other big stories. Access renews the smash hit all-female pro wrestling series WOW Women of Wrestling for a second season. This is a press release. WWE, or WOW, also announces first all-women's wrestling school in the U.S., the WOW Training Center in Long Beach, featuring Tessa Blanchard and Selena Majors. Access TV announced today, March 6th, in a global streaming press conference, the network has renewed the hit original series WOW Women of Wrestling from Los Angeles Lakers owner Jeannie Buss and David McClain, founder of the original Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, for a second season. Network upped its order to 24 additional episodes from the initial 8 in the first season, following the unprecedented response from viewers who were captivated by the strong female characters, impressive displays of power and athleticism, and the signature stories and colorful profile segments that have come to define the promotion throughout the years. The can't-miss season finale will air March 8th. This coming Friday is the season finale, in a defining episode that chronicles the journey of these superheroes. That's capitalized, by the way. That's their superstars. Includes the first tag match of the season. Steffi slays, demonstrating perseverance, and a title match between champion Tessa Blanchard and the Monster of Madness, Jessica Havoc. So 24 additional episodes. Obviously, there's going to be a long break in between because the season finale is in 2 days, and they just announced the new season here today. I didn't mind the first episode. I didn't think it was can't-miss television based on all of the stuff that I have to watch. There were things about it that were good. There were things about it that were bad. Obviously, the weakness is the wrestling, and they have a 45-minute show, I believe, and the matches, they're all longer than they need to be for the most part, and they do what they can to structure the matches. I'm sure they do a lot of practicing for the matches before going on television. There's clearly some editing, but it's fine storytelling, and the personality profiles are good. It's a little campy. Some of the stuff is a little wacky. But, I mean, if you love women's wrestling, show's fine. In some ways, it's better than some of the stuff they do with the WWE women's division on Raw and SmackDown. I mean, some of the backstage skits are way better than some of the skits you see on Raw. The wrestling in WWE, the women's wrestling is better, for the most part. I mean, there's going to be some matches involving some of the better workers in WoW that are going to be better than some of the stuff that you see on Raw and SmackDown. But overall, it's fine. And if people seem to enjoy it, if it's a smash success as they say it is, then I'm glad they're renewed. We don't really get ratings for Access TV. They don't subscribe to ratings, but they do obviously get numbers. And so far, apparently, the numbers are good. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian, just a really quick question. Since it looks as if Cena is going to face Samoa Joe at WrestleMania, is there any news on Lars Sullivan?
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. I mean, the answer is there would not be any good news on Lars Sullivan because they were waiting and waiting, and that appeared to be the idea for the match. And they certainly did tease last night. It's going to be Samoa Joe, John Cena for the U.S. title at WrestleMania, which I'm all for. I've been wanting that match for a long time. We can talk about that more after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. No Mike Sempervive today. You are the co-host. Give us a call, 844-411-5411. 844-411-5411. We'll go to the phones here in a moment. This person here says, Samoa Joe finally getting some main roster gold was awesome last night. Long overdue for the man. As you would say, Brian, he earned it. He sure did. I mentioned this before. Not everybody should be a champion. Certainly, not everybody should be the world champion, universal champion. Not everybody should even be the U.S. or the Intercontinental champion. But Samoa Joe, this man should be a champion. He's been awesome. He's been one of the best workers in the world for well over a decade. He's great in the ring. He's believable. He's got some of the best promos, maybe the best promos, arguably the best promos in the entire company. And he's a badass. And everybody, he's supposed to be a heel, but people love him. They've been chanting his name and his entrance forever. They respect the man. They believe that he's a killer. And so I was very happy to see him win the U.S. title last night. Wish he would have won the SmackDown title a while ago when he was feuding for it, but I'll take the U.S. title. Now, I will say this. I loved it. I would have done everything a little bit differently. I'm going to tell you why. So, Truth was the U.S. champion, and Truth has been coming out and doing the John Cena Open Challenge, a tribute to John Cena as U.S. champion. And if I were in charge, Samoa Joe would not have won the title last night on SmackDown. He wouldn't have been in the match. Truth would have come out, another John Cena Open Challenge last night, and whoever would have accepted, it doesn't matter. He could have done another four-way, just have someone else instead of Joe. And Truth wins again. Now, the reason I would have done that is because the way that I see this storyline going, I think that they should have made a bigger deal out of this being the John Cena Open Challenge. I think they should have gone a little bit longer with it. So then you could do another Open Challenge at the pay-per-view on Sunday. So at that point, you'll have done 4 John Cena Open challenges, because he did 2 on TV prior to this week. I believe this was the 3rd. The pay-per-view would be the 4th. So on the 4th one, Samoa Joe wins the title from him in a 4-way, and he does not beat Truth, just like they did on Tuesday. So Samoa Joe's the champion. Truth lost the title without being pinned. So obviously, you come back on TV either this coming Tuesday or the Tuesday after. You could even have it be a setup this coming Tuesday and then do the actual match the Tuesday after. Samoa Joe, Truth, one-on-one for the title. The belt that Truth did not lose in the ring. And Samoa Joe not only beats him, but he just destroys the guy afterwards. And he's beating on him, and he's destroying him, and he's smashing him. It's one of these angles they do all the time where it, quite frankly, goes on too long, but it's what they do. And who should make the save for R-Truth but the man that he has been representing for a straight month now, John Cena, comes out and saves the man who's been doing tribute to him one after another. John Cena comes out, he saves Truth, he goes after Samoa Joe, and you set up John Cena versus Samoa Joe for that U.S. title at WrestleMania. That's what I would have done. They can still do all of that. I just think they should have established that Truth is doing a John Cena Open Challenge for a little bit longer before they jump the gun on it and had somebody else win. But I don't care really one way or the other. I'm glad Joe won. I'm hoping we get to see that John Cena Samoa Joe match. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think Cena should put the guy over, and we will see what they do at WrestleMania. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What is going on?
Brian, this is Mike in Buffalo. So I'm just calling because I just want to talk about this women's division for a minute. I know you've been talking about it a lot, but I just want to say that as long as Vince is alive and or in charge of the company, I don't think women's wrestling at WWE is ever going to be mainstream or take it seriously or whatever. Because let's look at it. We're a year after last year's WrestleMania, and here we are. Asuka happens to be the SmackDown champion, and Charlotte doesn't have a belt. And what happened last year? They had Charlotte beat Asuka. For what reason, we still don't know, because you said Vince doesn't know how to book undefeated people, which is ridiculous. But here we are a year later. Asuka's a champ. We have Becky chasing Ronda, and we have Sasha and Bayley as the women's tag team champions. Now, we could have a deal where this year's WrestleMania ends with Bayley and Sasha celebrating with Becky and Charlotte as the separate brand champions. We could have the 4 horsewomen with a nice way to end WrestleMania, all in the ring, all celebrating, crying if they want, because I know they like to cry, all this other stuff. It could be the most unbelievable feel-good moment to end the WrestleMania maybe ever. And in the fans' eyes, I don't know, in my eyes at least, either Becky facing an undefeated Asuka for the SmackDown belt, or Ronda is 6-1, half dozen in the other. So they've screwed it up beyond belief. Making it a triple threat is obviously the only way they can go now, because Asuka has lost. Because otherwise, like I said, if Asuka's still been undefeated this whole time, from NXT up until this year's WrestleMania, I think it would still be okay. And the Becky, what do they call it, the Becky Lynch mob or whatever, would still be fine with having her in a singles match against Asuka. But I don't know, they felt like they needed to beat Asuka last year for some dumb reason, and here we are a year later. Like I said a million times, Asuka's a champ and Charlotte isn't. So I don't know. Just to me, women's wrestling will never be taken seriously as long as Vince is in charge.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. I mean, I got to say that there have been some bumps along the way, but I don't know if I mean, listen, it's not going to be mainstream because nothing in WWE is that mainstream right now. I mean, to a degree, you're going to see mainstream talking about it, but it's not like it was in the rock and wrestling connection or the mid-'90s, the Attitude Era. But, I mean, let's look what we have here. I mean, we have 3 women that are going to main event and probably close out WrestleMania. I mean, that has never happened before. We do have Sasha and Bayley as the tag team champions, brand to brand, and they're probably going to have a major match on the WrestleMania show. I mean, the rumors, I don't know if this is what they're going to do, but based on what I've heard and the storylines that they've done on television, I would presume it's going to be a multi-brand tag match where they're going to defend the belts, probably 4 corners, against a team from Raw, a team from SmackDown, and a team from NXT. So you may, in fact, get your Kairi Sane, Io Shirai tag team match at WrestleMania. I don't know if you will, but that certainly would be the team I'd call up from NXT if I were going to do that 4 corners match. So, I mean, you're going to have that. You're going to have the Becky, Sasha, Ronda match, or the Becky, Charlotte, Ronda match, probably closing out the show. I mean, all things considered, yeah, there are certain things that I'm not a fan of in terms of the WWE's women's division. I mean, yeah, Bayley's champion now, but God, I look at Bayley and Sasha when they go to NXT and you realize how badly Vince botched Bayley when she came up to the main roster. I mean, I see Lacey Evans coming out there every week, and I watch her in NXT, I watch her in the Royal Rumble. She's absolutely not ready to be a top woman on the roster, but they're hell-bent on doing it. I mean, yeah, there are things that they've done wrong, but I mean, overall, I think they're doing a pretty damn good job with the women. And you can dislike the Becky, Charlotte, Ronda storyline all you want, okay? We've talked about it ad nauseum here. But the reality is, whether Ronda is leaving at WrestleMania or whether Ronda is leaving after the pay-per-view following WrestleMania, whatever way they go, Ronda's going to be leaving. Maybe for a while, maybe forever. And when she's gone, they need women to be big-time main eventers for this women's evolution. And in their minds, it is better to create 2 women off Ronda Rousey than just 1. I mean, listen. Becky Lynch, she basically retired from this business almost a decade ago because her body was so thrashed. And eventually she was convinced to come back, and she's come back, and here she is, okay? Now, obviously, the knee injury is a work, but Becky Lynch has a lot of miles on her body. A lot of miles on her body. I don't want anything to happen to Becky, but just like with Tomasso Ciampa, Ciampa had a lot of miles on his body, and his body gave out on him. And the exact same thing could happen to Becky Lynch. If you put everything you've got behind only Becky Lynch going into this WrestleMania match with Ronda Rousey, there is a chance that in the next 365 days she could suffer a major injury and be put on the shelf. Then what? You got to build somebody else back up. Charlotte is much younger. Actually, she's not much younger, but the point is she is in in-ring terms, she has far fewer miles on her body. She's probably going to outlast Becky Lynch. So, in their minds, we got to build up Charlotte, we got to build up Becky, we can build up both of them in this Ronda Rousey feud. Yes, Becky's going to win in the end. She's going to get the big push first. But there's 2 people now that you can capitalize on. That's the idea here. Back in a moment, Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. You are the guest host today, 844-411-5411, 844-411-5411. A couple of other notes right here very quickly. Raw fell 5%, 2.78 million viewers on Monday night. Number has to be considered a positive, as except for last week, it was the best number the show has done dating back to September 3rd. I did mention that for some reason, and I think the big dog is one of the reasons, they've bumped back up to pre-football levels. They did not return immediately after football ended this year. They remained low for whatever reason, and now the bounce back has occurred. It was largely boosted last week by the advertised return of Roman Reigns. A decline was to be expected. This week's number is still slightly above the 2.70 million average for Raw the day after the Rumble, which has been by recent tradition one of the most watched episodes of the show during the year. It probably led to a second strong week, although the show was built around an angle that didn't finalize until hour 3 for a Shield reunion, which in theory should have held the audience better, but didn't. Actually, that angle was right at the top of the second and third hour, so you can't say that the third hour did a terrible number because of a Shield reunion that only did 4 minutes of that third hour. I mean, it ended, if I recall correctly, it was 4 minutes after the top of the third hour that Shield reunion deal ended. So, anyway, the biggest drop, 25.3%. Women 18 to 49. A show built around a women's angle at the end and a Shield reunion. That was the audience that turned out the heaviest. Teenage Boys was the other major drop of 21.6%. The hours, 3.07 million. 2.80 million, 2.47 million. So another drop of nearly 600,000 people from the first hour to the third. Full card here for Fastlane. Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens, WWE title. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. If Becky wins, she will be added to the Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. Reigns, Rollins, and Ambrose versus Corbin, McIntyre, and Lashley. Usos versus Shane and The Miz. Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Tamina. Asuka versus Mandy Rose for the SmackDown title. The Revival versus Ricochet and Aleister Black and Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in a triple threat. And Rey Mysterio versus Andrade is a pre-show match. Rey Mysterio and Andrade on the pre-show. And Asuka on Twitter posted an update about an injury she suffered on Monday's SmackDown house show. She said, "Good morning. I am very, very fine and energetic. Thank you for your concern." So apparently she's all right. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hello, this is Jack from Montana, first-time caller.
What's going on?
I was just wondering, with the Observer Awards coming out soon, do you have any predictions?
Dude, none. I have no idea. I mean,
yeah.
Wrestler of the Year... God, I don't even know. I have no idea any of the awards this year. There's, if I recall correctly, there's like a lot of, I believe Dave said there's like no big major standouts. So I guess we'll see. What do you think? Who's the Wrestler of the Year?
Personally, I think it's Tanahashi to me. I mean, Omega was like the better or most outstanding wrestler, but like the whole Tanahashi story, I guess. I really enjoyed it. But I think for sure that Baron Corbin's going to win most overrated.
I think that's a very good possibility right there. Yeah, I could see Tanahashi getting Wrestler of the Year. I could also see them giving the Wrestler of the Year to Kenny Omega just because he was champion for a good portion of the year. Tanahashi did the chase. But, yeah, I could see them going that way. I think they're coming out soon. I don't know if it's this week. I haven't heard the update yet. If anybody knows, let me know. If you want to give us a call, we got a phone line open, 844-411-5411. Text messages 425-780-7566. This person here says, text message, if WWE is not able to work something out with Lars, could you see them releasing him? I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, I mean... I don't think I would. I mean, if he wants to wrestle, I mean, he'd be wrestling for WWE, right? I mean, if you release him, he can go wrestle for somebody else. But I don't really have an answer. I don't know what Lars is thinking or wanting. I mean, he clearly was doing okay in NXT. That was before a much smaller audience. I mean, maybe he'd be comfortable working for a smaller promotion. But, I mean, I just can't imagine, like, wanting to wrestle and I guess do it for a career, but not being able to do it. I'm not talking wanting to do it. I'm sure he wants to be a WWE superstar. But, whatever it is that's causing whatever it is, I mean, he's not coming to the main roster, it looks like right now. So I don't know. It's just very, very weird. I don't know what's going to happen here. And any news on Cody's opponent for Double or Nothing, I don't know. Don't have an opponent. I know who it's not going to be, and that's me. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. It's John from Arkansas. Boy, this is just a horrible week as far as news with deaths and people being sick and injuries and all this. It just gets just downright depressing. I was just thinking about, though, something you were mentioning about, the guys that have been around and on the scene for so long, it kind of hammered home to me the thing about Samoa Joe last night. I mean, he's been around for so long, and it took them till now to realize, hey, this is a guy we've got to go with. We're going to get something great out of him. For me, I think they've got to stop dragging their heels on utilizing good talent when it's available. It's one of those things, the longer you wait, the more injuries and time is going to pile up on these guys. You, as a wrestler, know everybody has a limited bump card of how many you can take before your body just finally says no more. I think you've got to start maximizing the guys that are out there and available to you. And I'm totally with you on the whole thing about the Becky and Charlotte deal. I do believe that Charlotte will be a better addition to things. And I know that'll get all the Becky people mad at me, but I just don't care, to be honest.
Well, let me say this about the John Cena Samoa Joe thing. So, I mean, I would love to think that they finally, after all these years, recognize Joe's talent, but I don't think that's why they put the U.S. title on him. I think they've always recognized that Joe's a very talented guy, but I don't think this is the beginning of, like, now he's going to be a longtime company main eventer. I think what happened was they wanted to do the John Cena Lars Sullivan match, and they waited and waited and waited, and it appears to me that match is not going to take place. And so, knowing that match is not going to take place, they had options. And, like, the first option would be that R-Truth goes out there and he does the John Cena Open Challenge on television every week until WrestleMania, and then he does it at WrestleMania, and John Cena comes out and accepts, which would be like a big surprise. It would be another kind of sort of unannounced John Cena WrestleMania match, even though everybody knew he was facing Undertaker last year. So you had that option, or you had the option of, like, what would be a match we've never seen at WrestleMania that would be pretty cool. This person here says, didn't John Cena and Joe break in together? They were together in UPW 20 years ago, and they have never crossed paths in WWE, and it would be a lot of fun. And that was what they decided to do. Let's have Joe win the U.S. title in the John Cena Open Challenge deal, and John Cena will challenge for his U.S. title against Samoa Joe at WrestleMania. I love it. So I think that's why if they recognized and were going to push Joe would have won the SmackDown title back when he was feuding with it against AJ Styles, but they didn't go there. So this is just something for now. I hope that he lights the world on fire and they go even further with him. I mean, some people don't remember this, but, like, when Joe was originally signed years ago to WWE, he was signed to a deal where he was going to work some NXT shows, and he could also work outside dates. And he did some outside dates, and they were like, wait a second, this guy's doing outside dates, pal? And so they signed him to a new contract where he couldn't do outside dates. And originally the idea was he was only going to be in NXT. He was never going to go up to the main roster. And I can't even say he over-delivered. I mean, he did in their eyes. He did in my eyes. He was as great as he always is. And he ended up getting called up to the main roster. And the rest is history. So, very happy for the guy. Let's go to the phones. You, my friend, are on the air. What's going on? Hey, this is you. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Brian? So, sorry if I'm probably turning in a little late. My question is because of Tomasso Ciampa's neck surgery, what are the chances they do like a fatal four-way at WrestleMania week over at TakeOver, like Riddle, Dream, I don't know, Ricochet, somebody?
Well,
I just think if they kind of go right into like Adam Cole and Gargano, it would be kind of maybe too quick. I think like this is the opportunity where everybody gets this chance to shine and be like a giant star.
Yes,
maybe I'm overthinking this.
Yeah, we did. Well, we did kind of talk about this earlier today, but my basic thing was very similar to what you're saying, and that is like they're gonna have to shoot an angle for a WrestleMania championship match with like 3 weeks build. So yeah, I mean, preferably I would prefer like a one-on-one match for the championship, but with 3 weeks build, there's only so much you can do, and so you may as well do the multi-person match. And the idea that I had was the ladder match, playing off what they did last year. Have 6 guys, ladder match, Title's on the line, somebody wins, and then you build up a one-on-one championship match for the next takeover. Just seems rushed to throw together a singles when the better deal would be like, man, storyline is literally what real life is. We're in a bind here. We just lost our champion. We got 3 weeks till Mania. We don't have a lot of time to set anything up, so you know what? Top 6 contenders. You're all in a ladder match. You're going for the title. End of story. Be an awesome match. People will be excited. They'll be excited based on last year. That's the way I'd go. This person here says, the first Joe Cena match from last year didn't light the world on fire. I don't have high hopes for this year. I don't even remember that match, so I guess it didn't light the world on fire, but it's Mania, dude. It's WrestleMania. Think it'll be all right. Oh, God. This person here says, Baron should beat Roman at the pay-per-view to get the heat. He's hated, the most in the WWE. He needs credibility to be a top heel. I gave a whole speech on what a great heel was yesterday, and I got people thinking that the answer is Baron Corbin. A great heel is a guy that when you watch him on TV, you're compelled. You want to see someone destroy this guy. You want to see him get his just desserts. You want to see him in a big match and have somebody go in there and beat his ass. Baron Corbin's on my TV. I want to watch football. I hate football. Baron Corbin's on my TV. I want to turn the channel. This is not good heat. Okay? Think of the most unlikable person that you know that you can't even be in the room with them. Like, you want them to come in the room every week. That's like good heat to you. No, that's bad heat. I don't want to see Baron Corbin on my TV. I don't want to see him in a main event position. He bores me. This is not a great heel. He should not be beating Roman Reigns. He shouldn't even be in a match with Roman Reigns. God bless the guy, but crying out loud. Person says, I was watching the New Japan 47th anniversary show from this morning. Just found out Dragon Lee is challenging Ishimori at the G1 Supercard. I think the match can potentially steal the show. I know people are upset about who's not going to be on that show, but I've been told this card's going to blow you away. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. This from WWE.com. It is official. NXT champion Tomasso Ciampa will undergo neck surgery tomorrow. WWE.com has confirmed. Following a medical evaluation today, Ciampa has been scheduled for an anterior cervical fusion. That sucks. Stick with WWE.com for more details as they become available. A couple of final text messages. Since Becky, her Royal Rumble win does not matter, does it devalue the Women's Royal Rumble after promoting it to be an important event? Well, she won, and she's getting a WrestleMania match, so, I mean, when you look at the history books, the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to WrestleMania and winning the title. The wacky storyline they did, I mean, yeah, that happened, but the winner is still going to the Royal Rumble. They've done this before with the Women's Money in the Bank. Seems they've done the same with the Women's Royal Rumble. Yes, but they've also done the same with the Men's Royal Rumble, Men's Money in the Bank. They've done this a million times with a million events. I really wish they had just went with Bryan's idea where Charlotte argues that she actually is a true winner of the Royal Rumble. Yes, that would have made the most sense of anything. Like, what they did with Vince just coming out and changing it, I mean, that didn't make any sense. Not to mention, Stephanie and Hunter have changed it again, and where's Vince to come out and unchange it? Where's him to argue that Becky's not going to get in there even if she wins at the Fastlane show? The storyline is very convoluted right now. It would have been much better if Charlotte would have just said, I was the last legal participant in the ring. You cheated your way in and won. I was the last woman that was legally entered into the match. I should be at Mania. Easy. Okay? Apparently they figured that everyone would see that coming, so they changed it. I can only presume that's why they didn't do that, because it's the only thing that makes sense. But hey, gotta tell stories. Gotta surprise people. We're out of time, everybody. Want to thank you all for listening here today. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners. My main man, Dom. Everybody in the studio. Talk to you again next time. Wrestling Observer Live.